From natural ecosystems to human activities, all rely on the same essential resource, water. Yet it faces unprecedented threats. While freshwater accounts for only 2.5% of water resources on Earth, its global demand has surged by over 55%. Meanwhile, this vital resource is becoming increasingly scarce in many regions due to climate change, but also pressures by human activities, deteriorating quality, and overexploitation of resources. The intensifying effects of climate change are also leading to increased instances of floods and droughts. The UN member states have adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The goal number 6 is specific to water protection. Water4All is a Horizon Europe program, the Europe Framework Program for Research, with a strong international dimension, launched in 2022 to develop evidence-based answers to the water challenges, targeting 4 main objectives: access to water sanitation, resilience to global changes, preserved and restored ecosystems, and water for economic uses. With almost 90 partners from 33 countries, from Europe and beyond, this partnership supports research and innovation projects through the launch and funding of annual joint transnational calls, while ensuring that these projects address both research gaps and the needs of end users. For instance, the first joint transnational call in 2022, focusing on hydroclimatic extreme events and water management tools, successfully initiated and funded 27 research projects involving 3 or more different countries. Thanks to funding from Water4All partners and the EU, it also supports additional activities, such as water-oriented living labs, a European incubator to support early-stage startups and spin-offs, a group to enable the integration of scientific results in policymaking, and international cooperation to strengthen collaboration between researchers and students across the world, and to support water diplomacy. Water4All's ambition is to support numerous projects that will undoubtedly enhance water conservation and management, securing a sustainable future for our most precious resource.
Good afternoon, everybody. I suppose I can start now. It's just 1 minute after 1:30, and there are already many people connected to the webinar. So my name is Alto Covello, and I am I'm managing the secretariat for this call. And so I would like to give you a brief introduction of the event. Please, the next slide. Whoever is managing okay. So first of all, some instructions to effectively participate to this webinar. The webinar is recorded, so that the recording will be available on the Water4All call web page, so you can see it again later on, or maybe people who could not join the webinar now can see it later on. Today, the participants can only listen to the presentations, and they cannot speak. There's no possibility to intervene orally for all the people connected, apart from us, from the secretariat. questions in the question answer tool, the Slido, which you see on the right side of your screen. You can put the questions at any time since now, and then some easier, let's say, questions will be answered immediately on the Slido tool itself, or immediately, or as soon as possible in the Slido tool itself. All the other questions, the more complex ones, the ones which require more detailed explanation, will be answered later during the time dedicated to the question answer. So please, if you have questions, use the Slido tool on the left side. Finally, we are going to publish a frequently answered questions document in the call website in the following days, with a list of the most requested questions and, of course, with the answers to those questions. The next, please. Next slide. The next probably is not very fast. So the webinar is split in three main parts, which you see here in the program. So we have initially an introduction where the Benjamin Lopez, the Water4All coordinator, will explain you the partnership. We give you some information about the partnership Water4All, and I immediately after will give you some details about the process, how a joint transnational call works. Then after, we will have a presentation of the call topics by Miguel Angel Gillarans. He will explain you the topics of the scientific topics, the scientific aim of the call, and the expectation from our side from the applicants. So what type of project we are waiting from the applicants. No, please, the next. Okay. After the presentation of Miguel Angel, Maya Collar will explain you the information needed to submit a proposal, and also the election afterward. And then, as I said before, at the end there will be the question and answer session, which is actually only the answer to the question if you can put during the whole webinar, even during the time of the question and answer, you can continue to put the questions, but better if you put it as soon as you have, so that my colleagues can be select and group the similar questions in order to give a better answer to all of them. And at the end, okay, we plan to finish the webinar at 3:30 at the latest. The next one. Okay. Oh, this is the first, the next. Of the partnership. Please go
Thank
to
you
the
very much,
slide.
Aldo. I hope you can hear me well. My connection is quite bad, so is it okay for you? Can you hear me? Yeah?
I can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to introduce this webinar, and I will just give you a brief presentation of the partnership Water4All. So I'm Benjamin Lopez, the coordinator of the partnership. So Water4All is a European co-funded partnership under Horizon Europe program. It started in 2022, and it brings together more than 90 partners from 33 countries, including European member states, but also several countries outside Europe. Water4All put together funding organizations, but also research performing organizations and other water domain actors via European, national, and regional networks, especially from the economic sectors. So this combination allows us to design funding programs and at the same time to contribute directly to research and innovation activities. Together, we aim to boost water security for people, for the economy, and for ecosystems. And one of our core activities is to launch joint transnational calls every year, putting national and European resources to fund transnational research. Next slide, please. Can you switch to the next slide? Maybe not, yes. Previous. So thank you. So to address the freshwater challenges we use an holistic approach. This means that we cover the whole freshwater cycle from source to sea, including rivers, lakes, groundwater, wetlands, and coastal interactions. And we aim at connecting all these domains to the physical, ecological, and economical dimensions of water, from food to health, industries, cities, etc. Our work is organized around 5 main pillars of action to develop our strategic research and innovation agenda, to develop research via transnational calls, to work on science policy and user interface, to demonstrate the efficiency of solutions, and to enhance the international cooperation. With Water4All, we expect concrete outcomes to achieve 4 main specific objectives that are to deliver knowledge, tools, and evidence bases on water for policy and decision making, to improve consideration of water impacts in all relevant policies, to enhance the field market use of innovative solutions, and to increase citizen awareness and engagement for an inclusive water management. On the next slide, I will present you the research and innovation agenda that is the backbone of the partnership. It was built through a large consultation process with researchers, policymakers, industry, and citizens. And this strategic and research and innovation agenda defines the key research policies, priorities, and guides the design of our joint calls. It is structured around 7 core themes, 5 thematic themes: water for circular economy, water for ecosystem and biodiversity, sustainable water management, water and health, and this is directly linked to the call we are presenting today, and water infrastructures. And we have also 2 cross-cutting issues regarding the international cooperation and the governance. This agenda is a living document, and we are in the process of updating it in 2025 to adapt to the new needs, the new knowledge, and the new policies. In short, this agenda ensures that the work we fund is relevant, forward-looking, and connected to the real-world challenges. And in the last slide, please. This slide is to say to you and to mention that Water4All is not only about funding projects, but it is also the aim of implementing some additional activities supported by our partners. These activities aim to bridge research with practices and policy. This includes alignment actions with national programs, European initiatives, and other partnerships. We also have some clustering activities with the thematic annual programming action in the Pillar B, or the knowledge hubs in the Pillar C. We have some vocational training, capacity building activities in Pillar C, and also something really, really important for us is the work on the fairization of water-related data. In the Pillar D, we are working to develop some water-oriented living labs, and also to match-make actions to link problem owners and solution providers. And in the last pillar, the Pillar E, in red in the slide, we are working for improving the international cooperation. These are some examples of all the additional activities we are implementing in Water4All. All of these help to make sure that research we are developing with the transnational calls do not stay on paper, but are transferred to end users, whether they are citizens, water managers, policy makers, or business. So thank you all of you for being there and working and being interested in developing sound research. And with Water4All, we are here to try to transfer these results to all the end users. So thank you, and I wish you a nice seminar today.
Thank you, Benjamin. Please go to the next slide, or even the one after the next one. The next one. Okay, so I will explain you how a joint transnational call works. First of all, on the left side of the slide, you can see that there is a list of funding organizations, national and regional funding organizations. There are 35, if I'm not wrong, so quite a number of national regional funding organizations funding this call, but also the European Commission is funding this call as well. So here I can give you the first warning. Even if the European Commission is one of the funders of the call, this is not an Horizon Europe call, strictly speaking. It is different. There are many points where it is similar, sometimes even identical to the Horizon Europe call, but in other parts, it's different. So please refer always to the call text published by the Water4All partnership to see how it works. And don't give for granted that it is identical to the Horizon Europe calls, because it is not. The main difference is that there are many funding organizations funding the call. So there are many budgets and many funding rules, one per each funding organization. Because the partners are not funded directly by the European Commission or by the partnership. They are funded only by their own national funding organization or regional funding organization, which uses its own funding rules. So in a project, there are 3 partners from 3 different countries. There will be 3 different funding rules, one for each of the 3 organizations. So please refer to the national funding organization rules, which are also annexed to the call text published by Water4All. At least a brief summary of these national rules are annexed to the call text. For more precise, thorough information, you have to contact your national organization. So this is my first warning to you, because very often we see mistakes or questions due to this problem, due to people who think they are submitting an application to Horizon Europe. So now let's see some other points. There will be, this is one joint call, so there will be one single in scientific evaluation performed at international level by the partnership, specifically by the Joint Secretariat. Apart from this, there will be also the national eligibility checks and international eligibility checks. So these administrative checks about the eligibility of the proposals and the partners will be done separately by the partnership with regard to the proposal eligibility, and by each and every funding organization with regard to the partner's eligibility. So refer again to the your national regional eligibility criteria. There won't be no national scientific evaluation, only one international scientific evaluation, only one or several ranking lists. This I will explain better. So the ranking lists are only at international level and not at national level. Why in the first line of the second group of instructions you see one or several ranking lists? Because there is the possibility to rank the proposals at the end, after the evaluation, to rank them in one ranking list, all of them, or to split them depending on the topics of the applications. This second modality has been added recently in order to be able to fund more proposals. It's a quite complex reasoning. It is not this is the moment to do this. But the option to have several ranking lists has been introduced to be able to fund more proposals. Okay. At the end, in any case, we are going to fund the best ranked projects, starting from the topmost project in the ranking and going down without skipping any project according to the ranking list. Each country, I say, or as I said before, or region funds their research teams with the national contributions, plus the co-funding. And here, please take note that the co-funding from the Commission does not go directly to the partners, but go to the funding organization, which use it to fund more projects with their own partners. So it will not go. It will be not an addition to the funding to each partner, but in addition to the budget available by each funding organization. One final remark: there will be no national pre or post selection. So the selection of the projects which are going to be funded will be done by the partnership and only by the partnership. Each national organization or regional organization is not going to select any project, but fund only the one selected at international level. And that's all for my brief introduction to this to the Joint Transnational Call, for this very let's say top instructions to be taken into account during the preparation of your proposal. Now I give you the floor. I give the floor to Miguel Angel for the description of the topics. Please, Miguel Angel.
Thank you very much, Aldo. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miguel Gil Arranz. I work for the State Research Agency of Spain. I am also Vice Chair of the Water4All Partnership. And thank you very much for attending this webinar and for your interest in the call. I see that we have right now 980 people, so a huge interest. This is very important for us because the success of the call depends on your participation. And I hope we can help you to build good proposals with the information that we're going to give in this webinar. Before presenting the call topics, I would like to comment on the context and the objectives of the call. So next slide, please. Next one. Okay, first of all is the vision that we have in Water4All. The vision is ensuring water security for all in the long term. And this involves a huge challenge, which is to support transformations and changes in the research and innovation system in a way that we can connect better the problem owners and the solution providers. And for this, we develop activities with the vision in mind and also with the guidance of the research and innovation agenda that my colleague Benjamin has presented before. As he said, in the agenda, we have a list of challenges, a list of themes that we need to address. And for this call, we have selected from the agenda the general theme, water and health. So our objective in this call is to fund proposals addressing the key challenges related to the link between water and health. I would like to emphasize that the focus of the call is on human health, but we cannot work in silos when dealing with water and health. So we also consider for this call the One Health approach, but I need to clarify that this is not a call on AMR, even though the development of this approach on One Health was very closely linked to AMR. And one more thing about the objectives. With this call, we want to complement previous calls on other topics that are also related to health, but we don't want to duplicate approaches that were funded previously. So next slide. Thank you. I will revise now the topics for the call. This will be a simplified overview. You will need to go to the call announcement for the complete details. This call has been structured in 4 topics that are based on the SRIA, on the agenda, but not only in the agenda, we have also worked with a group of internal and external experts to include additional aspects and to give more consistency to the call. And for this topic number 1, this is about waterborne contaminants and health risks. You will see in the call announcement that the topics include subtopics for a better structuration of the application procedure, and also for the evaluation. And as my colleague Aldo commented, also for helping us to have separate ranking lists per topics. And in these topics and subtopics, you will find the challenges that we want to address. In this case, for this topic number 1, we have 2 subtopics. The first one is about environmental occurrence and behavior of waterborne contaminants. And the descriptors for these subtopics are identification, the prediction of occurrence, the interaction between chemical and microbial contaminants, the response of contaminants to treatments, and the influence of local environmental conditions. We have a second subtopic on pathogens and disease transmissions, where we will welcome proposals dealing with the better understanding and monitoring of disease transmission in water systems, also better understanding of the role of biological and non-biological vectors in disease transmission. And as you see, we also consider the environmental transmission pathways of AMR. Next slide, please. Thank you. Topic number 2 is about innovative tools and technologies for water quality and exposure monitoring, with 2 subtopics. The first one is on advanced water monitoring technologies for health protection and risk management. And it includes as descriptors the real-time, high precision, and cost-effective methods. Also the enhancement of spatial and temporal water quality assessment, the improvement in discrimination of pollution source, the development and harmonization of standard methods for detecting contaminants, and also the development and application of tools and assays to determine the adverse effects of pollutants. And in this case, the second subtopic is on novel approaches for health risk and exposure assessment. Here, the challenges that we have defined are the assessment of health risks associated to water contaminants, the continuous monitoring and the methodologies to assess human exposure, and the development of tools, markers, and assays to evaluate biological responses and early warning systems that can help us to have signals of exposure. Next, please. Regarding topic number 3, it is about water treatment and exposure mitigation. It has 2 subtopics again. The first one is about resilient and equitable water treatment technologies for health protection. And here the highlights defining the subtopic are health protection by cost-effective and energy-efficient water treatment technologies, the support to equitable access to safe water through treatment systems that are small scale, decentralized, also based in nature, and the design of resilient treatment technologies. And the second topic is subtopic is entitled Contaminant Mitigation and Exposure Prevention for Human and Environmental Health, with descriptors that include the effective removal and inactivation to reduce exposure and health risks, also the improvement of water treatment processes for a targeted removal and prevention of the spread of pollutants, the strategies for pollution prevention and also source control, and finally the integration of these things, the treatment of solutions, the treatment, and also, the integration of solutions dealing with treatment with those regarding the exposure assessment and risk reduction. Next, please, and we go to the 4th and last topic. For this topic, I would like to comment that in Water4All, we are convinced that the solution to water challenges cannot only be technical, and that socioeconomic aspects are also relevant. For instance, in some cases, the main barriers to the adoption of solutions is social acceptance. So for these reasons, as we did in previous calls, we have included a cross-cutting topic dealing with governance, socioeconomic innovation, and policy integration. And the descriptors here are the investigation on governance frameworks, institutional dynamics, and policy coherence, the exploration of public perception, social acceptance, and trust in interventions, how to address barriers to implement and long-term sustainability of water and sanitation systems, also advancing in social and policy innovations to improve equity, community engagement, and the uptake of safe water practices and technologies, and finally, the enhancement of the cross-border cooperation and knowledge sharing. This last descriptor is related to one of the cross-cutting topics that we have in the SRIA, which is also international cooperation. Well, these are the topics and subtopics that are eligible for the call. Next, please. I would like to highlight also some aspects that you will find in the call's announcement. The first one is that the proposal must address clearly at least one of the main topics in the call announcement, but the proposals don't need to address all the subtopics or all the descriptors within them. Of course, there may be proposals that are comprehensive and integrate more than one topic and subtopic, but you will need to identify which is the main one and in what proportion other topics are addressed. Another important thing, we have not added the words in the health context in all the headings and in all the subtopics and all the descriptors. But of course, as you will understand, it is mandatory to submit proposals that demonstrate clearly that the context is health. For instance, we cannot accept proposals dealing with analysis, monitoring, or chemical reaction pathways if they are not clearly integrated in a proposal where the focus is clearly the link between water and health. And one more note, the topics described in the call are described at a limited length, but I encourage applicants to consult the strategic agenda of Water4All for a more extended context. And next slide, please. Next one, a final slide on the expectations that we have about the proposals. We expect to receive comprehensive and problem-oriented approaches that avoid two specific cases. We also expect the proposals to demonstrate how they contribute to overarching the goals of the call, and also to demonstrate how the outputs cover relevant existing gaps and how these outputs also have the potential to be used. Of course, we welcome multi and interdisciplinarity in the proposal, but this multidisciplinarity cannot be a per se approach. It must be because it is needed because of the complexity of the challenges addressed. And it is also quite important that the proposals don't duplicate previous projects. For those proposals based in former projects, you will need to show very clearly the progress, and this progress needs to be substantial and evident. And a couple more of notes on the impact. We need to see a clear and solid plan on how the outputs will be transferred to the beneficiaries and how a societal impact and an environmental impact will be created. And finally, also how the proposals will contribute to the overall impacts that we have for the call. And you will find this information in the call announcement. Well, this is all from my side. Thank you very much. Now is the turn for my colleague Maya Colar, who will present the call process. The floor is yours, Maya.
Thank you very much, Miguel. So I will give you a quick presentation on the call process, so on the call modalities and the process that we follow in the call. As you could probably already see in the call announcement, this call has two modalities. So it has the regular modality, which is the regular joint transnational call, and the early career researcher modality, which is very similar in the sense that it has exactly the same thematic framework. It follows the same process, the same evaluation process. The only difference is in the criteria for the coordinator. So the coordinator in this case should be an early career researcher, which in our call, by definition, means that they obtained their PhD less than 10 years prior to the call launch. There may be some exceptions, such as, let's say, maternity, paternity leave, that could potentially extend this period. But to consider these exceptions, you must contact your national funding organization to check, first of all, if they are funding this modality, and if they are, if there can be this exception that could be applied. So there are coordinators, of course, that could apply under both modalities. So they could apply under the early career researchers or under the regular modality. So it's up to them, if of course, if their funder funds both options, to decide under which modality they wish to present their proposal. But it is not compatible to participate under both modalities. Could you go to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah, thank you. As I said, the coordinator of the early career researcher modality needs to comply with this, let's say, extra criterion, but this is not necessary for the rest of the partners in the consortium. So the other principal investigators of other partners or their team members, they do not need to be early career researchers. And it's also compulsory that the funding organization supports this modality for the coordinator, but for the rest of the partners, it is not necessary that their funding organization support this modality. So you could have, I would just give an example, let's say a consortium with, let's say, I know that in Spain, the AEI supports this modality. So the coordinator could be a young researcher from Spain, but the rest of the partners could be from countries that do not support this modality. As I said before, the other eligibility criteria are the same. So exactly the same criteria applies for this consortium in terms of the composition. They have the same thematic framework. The structure is the same. The evaluation criteria is going to be the same. In the application platform, in the submission platform, you will need to choose, you will need to click, let's say, under which modality you will participate, but the rest is going to be the same. The difference is also that in case we have an equal ranking, so let's say two proposals, they score the same scores, they are considered of equal quality. The funding partner organizations will prioritize the projects submitted under the ECR modality whenever this is possible. So we'll try to, let's say, give a push to this modality whenever the possible, and of course, whenever the quality of the proposal is considered the same. Can you go to the next slide, please? I also have this slide about the Knowledge Hub, because this is also mentioned in the call text. It's not a call modality as such, but it is a feature that is considered under both modalities. So the Knowledge Hubs are networking platform supported by the Water4All partnership on a certain topic. So in this case, on the topic of water and health. And we are asking all the participants to include in their proposal a project ambassador that is related to the activities of the Knowledge Hub in their communication and dissemination work package. Approximately 2% a month should be dedicated to this. And what is a Knowledge Hub? So it's basically a platform with the aim of contributing to knowledge synthesis, to dissemination and networking activities among the projects that are funded in this call or on a certain topic. So this is compulsory, as I said, under both modalities, and the participants will be of the funded projects will be later involved in these Knowledge Hub activities organized by the partnership. And the duration of the Knowledge Hub is the same as the duration of the projects funded, so 3 years. Could you go to the next slide, please? So this it was quickly about the modalities, and now going to the call process and procedures. We have 33 funding performing organizations from 30 countries, and we have a total budget of approximately 35.6 million euro, which includes the national commitments and also the EC contribution based on these national commitments. And it's really important that the applicants comply with the general international eligibility criteria, which is the same for all the projects or for all the proposals. But as Aldo said before, we have different countries participating, different funding organizations participating, and all the applicants coming from these countries and applying to these funding organizations, they must also respect their national eligibility criteria. And it's really, really important that you consult this document. It's published on the website, and that you get in touch with your national contact point so that you really check your eligibility, because if individual partners are deemed ineligible, this may also affect the eligibility of the whole proposal. So this proposal could be then rejected on the basis of not complying with the eligibility criteria. So usually what is checked is the maximum budget allowed per partner or per project, the possibility to participate in the early career researcher modality. Pay attention also to the call topics, because not all funding agencies are funding all the call topics. And there are also, of course, other national criteria relating to either the institutions applying. So some may be funding companies or for-profit organizations, some may be funding only non-profit organizations, and so on. And also the principal investigators participating usually are the subject of eligibility criteria. So get in touch with your national contact point. Next slide, please. I will, this is just for your information. I will not go through this because this is the table that is also included in the call announcement document, and it's the list of all the funding organizations and participating countries with their budgets, and it's also useful to see the approximate number of projects that they foresee to fund. Could you go to the next slide? Yeah, and the next one. So this is the table, and let's go to the consortium composition. So the first eligibility criteria is the number of eligible partners. So there must be at least 3 eligible partners requesting funding to their funding organizations from 3 different countries. The maximum number of partners in a consortium is 7, and that includes one self-funded partner. Self-funded partner cannot coordinate a proposal. And also regarding the number of partners, so between step 1 and step 2, there could be some changes, some smaller changes. So in some cases, this maximum of 7 partners could be increased to 8 in cases an under subscribed funding organization. Those partners applying to undersubscribed funding partner organizations are included. Another important thing is that in this consortium of at least 3 eligible partners from 3 countries, at least 2 must be from different EU member states or associated countries. So you have a link to the list here, But I can also say that there are only 2 countries that are not considered, either EU member countries or associated countries in this call, and that's Brazil and Switzerland. Could you go to the next slide, please? We have some examples here of a consortia. For example, we could have a consortium with partners from Portugal, Italy, and Brazil. That's okay because we have 3 partners from 3 different countries. They're all participating in the call, and at least 2 are the EU member states or associated countries. So Brazil is not, but we comply with a minimum of at least 2 here. On the other hand, we could have France, Spain, and Cyprus, but because Cyprus is not participating in this call, this partner would be considered a self-funded partner. So in this case, the consortium would not be considered eligible because we don't have 3 eligible partners from 3 countries. There are 3 countries, but not all 3 are eligible. Next slide, please. There are also some other eligibility rules. Regarding the consortium coordinator, this person, in this case, that acts as principal investigator of the coordinating institution can only participate in 1 proposal. So they cannot participate in another proposal, neither as a coordinator nor as a PI of a partner. And of course, the consortium coordinator must be eligible. And if it's considered not eligible, this proposal will be removed and it will be considered as non-eligible without further consideration. Regarding the partners, as partners, the applicants may participate in several proposals, but as long as this is okay with their funding organizations. So there may be some funding organizations that have some limitations here. So if you consider participating in several proposals, you need to check if this is okay with your funder. With respect to the workload distribution, so it should be balanced, and no partner should have more than 50% of person month, nor the partners from the same country altogether should have more than half of the person month in the consortium. So the consortium should be balanced. And the language is the language of the proposals is English, and the project duration by default is 3 years. Could you go to the next slide? Regarding self-funded partners and eligibility of international research institutions, let's see before that there are some questions regarding self-funded partners already in the chat. So there is a maximum 1 self-funded partner per consortium allowed. And the institutions from countries that are not participating in the call may join consortia only as partners, so as self-funded partners, but they cannot coordinate. And they also have to prove their willingness to self-fund their activities in a letter of commitment that is supposed to be presented in the full proposal. So in the step 2, in the step 1, it's not necessary to submit this document yet. It will be at their own expense, but that also means that they do not check their eligibility with anyone because they don't have their respective funding organization. Regarding the international institutions, if they are participating, they should check if they have their if they're eligible for funding by any of the funders included in this call. And there is also the case of the Joint Research Center. They can participate in a proposal as a self-funded partner if this should be the case. And also to mention that the self-funding partners, we also need to sign the consortium agreement, same as the rest of the partners, and comply with the duties and obligations, the same as the funded partners. Could you go to the next slide, please? Regarding the funding organization's financial rules and eligibility criteria, as I said, this is really, really important. So you really need to check the document and contact your national contact point, because the rules differ quite a lot. There are big differences, and yeah, you can find the documents and then the context of the contact points and their national regulations on the website. So you should be able to get in touch with them pretty easily. Next slide. Then one more thing, perhaps regarding the last slide, you should, apart from the checking the eligibility criteria, it may also be that some of the funding organization will require submitting, let's say, a national application prior to the deadline. So check if this is the case. It's an important thing, because otherwise your organization may be declared ineligible. Yeah, now you can go to the next slide. Regarding the potential changes between the pre and full proposal, so between the step 1 and step 2. So as a matter of principle, the information given in the pre-proposal is binding. So there should be no major changing regarding the proposal's content. However, there are some, let's say, other changes that are allowed on a more administrative level. So after we perform this eligibility check after step 1, usually the call secretariat communicates some of the observations to the applicants, and there are some changes that can be then introduced in the second step, and also the consortia themselves, they can propose some changes. So there are some minor changes of budgets that could be allowed by the relevant funding partner organizations. So it has to be checked with them. Every financial aspect has to be checked with the funder. Usually they're minor, so below 10%. There should not be any changes of the coordinator. If there is a case of a force majeure, that should be communicated in time to the call secretariat. So and this will be then discussed on a case-by-case basis. But in principle, there should be no changes of the coordinator. Could you go to the next slide? On the other hand, there could be a limited number of changes in the consortium composition. So a maximum 2 changes of partners in proposals with more than 5 partners, and a maximum of 1 change in proposals that are considered smaller, so 5 or less partners. But this change must be approved by the concerning funding organization. When we talk about changes, what is considered? Addition, removal, or replacement of a partner. And in this case, we refer to the partner as the independent legal entity, not to a person. But in any case, you should check with your funder if you're considering any changes in the composition. And in terms of procedure, the eligibility of new research partners must be confirmed before the full proposal submission deadline. So every change must be approved and also confirmed eligible. If your consortium is considering this between steps 1 and 2. Okay, next slide, please. Regarding the submission procedure, so we have steps 1 and 2. Step 1 is the pre-proposal, and step 2 is what we call the full proposal. The submission of the proposals is mandatory already at step 1, so there could be no late submissions in any case, and it's all done on through the electronic platform submission system, so we call it EPSS. And it's done under the regular modality or ECR modality. In this phase, first the eligibility check is performed by the Secretariat for the general criteria and for by the funding partner organizations for the regarding their national criteria. And then the proposals that are eligible are sent to the evaluation panel of independent, composed of independent experts. And in first phase, the proposals are evaluated on the excellence and impact criteria. And the minimum threshold is 3 out of 5 for each. And in the step 2, the applicants will submit a full proposal, so it's more complete, a larger proposal. Again, the eligibility will be checked because there may be some minor changes that I mentioned before. And then the evaluation panel will evaluate again the proposals on the 3 criteria, so excellence, impact, and in step 2, also the quality and efficiency of the implementation. And here again, the threshold, the minimum threshold is 3 out of 5, but in addition, there is the overall threshold on the final score, which is 10 out of 15. So we will not fund anything below this threshold. At this point, I would like to encourage all applicants to consult the evaluation criteria because it's really important that you see which criteria evaluation panel is using to assess the proposals, because they will be assessing the proposal on the exactly this criteria and nothing else. So it's important to see that the proposals are in scope, that they're balanced, and they comply with all the criteria that is mentioned in the call announcement. After that, we will have a meeting, a call steering committee meeting. So all the funding partner organizations gather together and consider the ranking of the proposal, so which is prepared by the evaluation panel. So then the funders see, they go down the ranking list and they see how many proposals they can find. So there is no jumping the list. We have to stick by according to the rules of the EC, we have to stick to this ranking, and we cannot skip proposals or cherry pick in this sense. And we fund as many proposals as possible using the national funds and also the EC contributions to fill in any gaps that might occur. Because some funders, perhaps they're already running out, let's say, of their national funds. So the EC co-funding is used for this. After that, the proposals are recommended for funding, and we publish the list of the funded projects on the website. We contact the coordinators. And as Aldo already said before, each partner then, let's say, well, negotiates or contacts their national funding organization to formally apply for the grant, which is this procedure is different, of course, in any state, but the proposals that are selected on the international levels are then funded on a national level. So there are different national calls or instruments intended for that. And then the consortium agreement is also signed among the the partners, so in the consortia, and we also on the partnership level, we follow these funded projects. We organize the kickoff meeting, the midterm, and the final meeting of the proposals, and we will be in touch with those proposals for projects that will be selected for funding regarding any obligations afterwards once the projects are running. Next slide. So this is the timeline. You also have this information on the website. So you can see that the projects will start. It's quite a long procedure, almost 1 year, and the project will start end of 2026 or the beginning of 2027. And there will also be this official international kickoff meeting in the spring of 2027. Next slide. You have all the information, all the resources available on the website. So I'm pretty sure that most of you have already checked the call announcement and its annexes together with the national regulations document. There will also be a recording of this webinar and the frequently asked questions document, which will be updated with the questions from today available on the website. And there's also a submission tool. We have a partnering tool. So if you need partners for your proposal, you can use this tool as well. And we also ask you to check the website regularly because there may be updates, including in the national regulations. Sometimes there are some minor updates. It's important that you check the website and any notifications as some minor changes may occur. Next slide, please. Regarding the partnering tool, so it's a tool that is fairly easy to use. So if you're searching for a partner, you may register and you enter your details, and you can search by country, call topic, keywords, and so on. So there are quite many partners or entries already in this tool, and you're all invited to use it if you're looking for project partners. And I think we're getting towards the end of the presentation. So just a quick information regarding the EPSS platform. So the link is also available on the website. The coordinator will present the proposal on behalf of all the partners through this system. But of course, also the partners in the consortium, they can be given access, they can be given the roles, and they can enter their information directly in the system. But the coordinator will have to be the one to, let's say, close the proposal and submit it on behalf of the consortium. Yeah. And here you also have the contacts of the call secretariat for this call. So the colleagues from Muri from Italy are running the call secretariat this year. And also if you have any issues regarding the submission platform or the partnering tool, you may contact the help desk. Yeah, I think that's it. We can go to the Q&A. I could see that Claire already answered several questions, but nevertheless, I will now read some of the questions. Let's try to answer as many of them, and then maybe there may be some that we will not be able to answer because there are a lot. But we will go through all the questions in any case, and they will be included in the Q&A. And if you still feel that there is something that you do not know or you need more information, you can always contact the call secretariat regarding any general aspects and your national contact points. So should we start, Sarah, Yasmin?
Yes, of course, we are
Yes.
here.
You're ready. Okay. So first of all, there were, I think, many questions regarding the slides and the webinar, if it's going to be made public.
I will. Okay. Yes, the recording will be published in the upcoming days, and the slides will be shared on the website.
Okay, great. Thank you. I also saw a question regarding the list of the partners. Someone mentioned that the list of the partners has been changing. Could you?
Yes, unfortunately, India has decided to withdraw its participation. So India is between the pre-announcement and the call publication. So India is not more a participating funding agency.
Okay. There was also a question regarding the Annex B. So I think there's some confusion regarding the Annex B, which is the list of the Water4All partners that can participate in the call, and the list of the countries or funding organizations in the Annex A. Could you clarify it, if only the countries or institutions listed in the Annex B can participate? Because there are more
absolutely
countries.
not. Absolutely not. In Annex B, there are listed the partners of Water4All of the Water4All partnership that may apply to this call, because there are a lot of firewall so for the publication of our call. So even if they are a partner of the partnership, they can apply. But all partners coming from a country listed in the national regulations can participate.
Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Then there was a question, or several questions regarding the topic. So Miguel, maybe this one's for you. For
Yes.
example, there was a question regarding the suitable topics. For example, could wastewater treatment through fetal remediation be considered appropriate? Could you comment on these kind of questions, or?
Yes, we cannot comment much on that. We don't have a closed list of treatments or technologies that are eligible for the call. So you have a description, for instance, that where we said that nature-based solutions are eligible. So you need to evaluate if that proposal that you have based in fetal remediation falls in this category. And in any case, you need to be aware that the evaluators will use for the evaluation the same information as you have in the call announcement. So I think that all the community will have a good understanding of I hope, of what the call is about. And I have seen in the chat that we have also some questions about the type of pollutants that are considered eligible in the call, and also diseases that are considered in the call. Again, we don't have a closed list of pollutants. We don't have a closed list of diseases. What is important for you is to prepare a proposal where you emphasize on the link between water and that disease, or those pollutants and disease, with water as a vector or as a relevant ambit for the transmission of that disease. You have only tentative indication of the pollutants that you may consider.
Thank you very much.
In any case, try to address cases that are relevant enough and don't go for very specific cases where for which the application of the outcomes, it cannot be generalized.
Thank you very much. Going back perhaps to Sarah and Yasmin, can pre-doctoral researchers participate as leaders of a research proposal?
Maybe this I can answer. It's important that you always check the national and regional eligibility criteria, because this is something that it its own the national and regional funding organizations. So, of course, there is a modality that is devoted to the ECR, but then the details are and eligibility of each single case are let's say each single funding organization has its own regulations, as we have repeated several times. So take a look at the national regulation document that is on the website dedicated page to this call.
I would just add to this that bear in mind that these are very competitive calls. So not to say if Sarah said it depends on the regulations, but bear in mind that the evaluation panel will also check the consortium composition in the second step. So if this proposal is invited, so the implementation criteria will also take into account the composition of the consortium. It's advised that the principal investigators have a certain degree of experience of leading these international proposals. Then another question, if there will be any planned business-to-business meeting event in the scope of the call.
No, Maya. We have on the webpage, Water4All Call webpage, a partnering tool, so you can publish on the webpage your request to join a consortia or your idea and ask for partners. So this is the only instruments, the only tool that you can use to join other partners.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. What about for-profit organizations? Are they eligible for applications within this call? Lisa's asking this.
Yeah, generally they are. Let's say at the international level they are. But then again, each funding institution has its own internal rules and eligibility criteria. So for the water and health call, they are eligible, but then it depends on the funding organization itself.
Mm-hmm. So then we have a question regarding let's say where the research can be performed. So can countries that are participating in this call use the funding to support projects in non-participating countries with documented national priorities, for example, addressing drinking water issues in the Caribbean island nations? So this international dimension, can the research be performed in the countries that are not part of the call? I can perhaps help with this question, because I think this is not written. So it's possible to perform the research in the countries that are not participating in this call, but it's important to stay within the scope of the call and the priorities of the call. I don't know, Miguel Angel, would you add something to this?
Yes, I would recommend to consult the call announcement, because in the call announcement there are some comments on how this call should also align with European policies on water. So I think that there is not a restriction, but maybe the relevance of the proposal for the call should also be supported with this relevance of the solutions or the outcomes of the projects for the implementation of the European policies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
As I said before, don't go to very specific cases where the application of the outcomes is restricted to a limited domain.
Great, thank you. Then we have a question regarding the size of call. So we already mentioned the size of the budget, but more or less how many projects we are funding, we will be funding.
I can. Based on the previous call and the previous years, we expect about 30 projects. We expect to finance 30 projects. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then a question about the self-funding partners, or if someone wants to participate as a self-funded partner at pre-proposal stage. They're asking if they do need to specify the source of funding. Can we state the source of funding in the full proposal stage?
Yes, they will be asked at the full proposal stage to send a letter of commitment, detailing a little bit more about their source and, of course, their contribution in the proposal. So at the pre-proposal stage, no details are asked.
What sizes and durations are the grants? Another question.
Okay, the project must be 36 months, and the size, in terms of budget, we have not a maximum budget established or a minimum budget, but for the maximum, for these limits, you must consult the national regulations, because each funding agency may have the restrictions in terms of contribution.
Thank you very much. Then there were several questions regarding the participation of 2 or more partners from the same country in a consortium. So is that allowed?
This would depend on the funding organization, because some funding organization allows more than one partner in the same country, others not. So everything is detailed in each funding agency table listed in the national regulation document.
Thank you very much.
May I only add something concerning this point, that in the call announcement, in the eligibility criteria, in the workload section, you can find that partners from the same country shall not have altogether than 50% of person month. So if you are more partners of the same countries, please consider also this limit.
Thank you very much. Then we have a question that says, is it mandatory to have an authority in the consortium? If there are only university or institutes, will the projects be underscored?
Yes, it will be. We do, actually the call supports the participation of other stakeholders, but they are not mandatory. And of course, all of them are have to be checked in the national regulations again. So not all the funding organizations, as already said by you, Maya, can fund or national authorities or NGOs or other kind of stakeholders. So always refer to that document.
Yeah. Just to answer, it's not going to be underscored. It's not going to by default receive a lower score. It's not a criterion. So let's move on. Again, can the research be focused on countries that are not on the list of Annex A? We answered this. Miguel answered this question. Okay. Regarding the topics and subtopics, there is a question: do all bullet points per subtopic need to be addressed by a proposal? I think Miguel answered this before. Miguel, if you want to again just
yes, no, you are not. No, it's not compulsory to address all the subtopics within a topic, and it's not compulsory to address all the descriptors within a subtopic.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was already said this during your presentation. Then I remember there was also a question regarding the pre-proposal template. So it's still marked as coming soon on the website.
Absolutely, yes. Probably next week. We are really finished. Very few little changes, minor changes, and we will write an email. We will send an email to the coordinator who started to implement the application online, to advise them to read again the template.
Thank you very much. Can the same organization apply for 2 projects within different topics?
Yes, yes. One organization can apply for 2 projects in 2 topics, but please consider always the limit for the PI. So API can be API only in one proposal. So you must have more PI available for all your projects.
Yeah, and I would say to check also with the national funding organization, because I think this is also something that could be limited on a national level.
Absolutely, yes.
But not on the in terms of the general criteria. It's okay. Check with your national funding organization. So there, I think it's an interesting question about the ranking. So if the ranking of the applicants will be made on the international level, how can you ensure that the national funding budgets are optimally used? Say, for example, there are 4 consortia with Austria in the top list, but the Austrian funding agency only has money for 2.
This is a very complicated financial mechanism, and it's not so easy to explain it now. I don't know if Aldo is with us and that he can help us, but it's a
yes,
Aldo is a very complex mechanism.
Okay. If you want, I can intervene, since I've worked on this point for many, many years, and I am also partially author of the tool which is used to select the proposals. Yeah, first of all, we have to follow the ranking list. So from the topmost ranked down, and then normally, okay, let's see, if you have 3 projects with 15, normally the topmost we can fund all of them, and then we go to 14, and maybe we can follow all of them, and then at a certain moment we go to 13, and not all of the proposals in the 13 range can be funded because someone has missing. Some funding agencies exhausted their money. Then we use the top up from the Commission this moment to be added to those funding organizations who run out of money, so we can fund more projects. We go down the ranking, but at a certain moment also the top up from the Commission will be exhausted, and then we can, if we are in a group of proposals with the same score, we can have a further selection process in order to select those proposals where all partners can be funded, and keep those where there is one which cannot be funded. Once we complete this selection and we consider all the proposals with the same score, we cannot go further down anymore, because if we are not able, like for make an example, to fund all proposals scored 12, we cannot take in consideration anyone scored 11, because it would mean keeping projects higher with higher score. So every time there is an equal score, we can do this selection based on the availability of funds. If this criterion is not enough, we can consider other criteria which are also listed in the call text. For example, this we can use at most the funding available. We can consider, we can allow the possibility to fund the parts by all funding by funding agencies or by most of the funding agencies. So if there are two projects with the same funding, let's say, issues, in one there is one funding organization which has not funded anyone else before, we can prefer this one instead of the other where there are parts already funded or parts from that country already funded. Then another possibility, okay, should have mentioned it on top. A possibility is to select those which are led by an early career research. This is a priority criterion which will be used in this case, especially in this case. And just a parenthesis here, I saw one of the questions where one was arguing if this criterion was enough to justify the participation of early career. I can say yes, because there will be, normally there are many projects with the same score, because we don't use a score with a comma, so 12.3, 12.4, but scores integer, and at the end the proposal will be grouped also in three groups, A, B, and C, and in B we have normally a large part of each of them, a large part of proposals, but in the B is the one where there are funding problems, and in all these proposals we can select those with the early career, those where there are money still available, where there are funding organizations which still don't have fund any projects, and that's it. I think these are the three main criteria which we are going to use. I don't know if I forget someone, but these are the main three which we're going to use with this complex mechanism which assure a fair selection of the proposals based on, let's say, measurable criteria and not on just feelings. I hope I answered clearly to this question, but the issue is very, very complex, unfortunately.
Yes, thank you, Aldo.
Yep.
There is another question regarding the term beneficiaries. They say, what does beneficiary mean? I assume beneficiary, Water4All beneficiaries, so probably referring to the Annex B, as we said before. Is it the ones who receive or manage the funds? Must this be part of the proposal? So should Water4All beneficiaries, so the ones that are listed in the Annex B, be part of the proposal?
I'm not sure that beneficiary in this question is referred to Annex B, or if they refer to the ones who receive the money.
I assume that they refer to this because there is some confusion whether they receive or manage the funds. So that's why I assume that they're referring to the beneficiaries. So I would say if you are referring to the what we call Water4All beneficiaries, it's not compulsory that they must be part of the proposal. If you're referring to a different kind of beneficiary, then it would be just an eligible entity requesting funding. So
and selected for funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if I can intervene again. This is another point where there are some ambiguity because of the nature of the partnership. Because of the partnership is at the same time a project funded by the European Commission. So the partnership is a beneficiary. The partnership, sorry, is beneficiary of the European Commission, and so all the partners of the partnership are beneficiary of the funding from the European Commission. But at the same time, a partnership is a funding organization or a grouping of funding organization which funds projects. So the participants in this project are beneficiaries of the funds of the partnership. So there could be two types of beneficiaries. The beneficiaries as a partner of the partnership who are beneficiaries of the funding of the European Commission, and the beneficiaries participating in the project which are beneficiaries of the funding from the funding organization. So it depends in which discussion, in which document you are reading the word beneficiaries. It could be one or the other. Normally, it's clear from the context to which one we are referring to.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a question regarding the topics. Does a proposal need to completely avoid a certain topic, for example, the topic 4, if one of the partners' country in the consortium does not support it? So if the funder is not funding a certain topic, does the proposal need to completely avoid this topic, or is it okay as long as the topic is covered by other partners whose countries support the topic?
Yes, in this case, I recommend to contact the national contact point to see in what terms that an eligibility per topic at the national level will be considered.
Yeah, thank you, Miguel. I would just add to this, of course, check if this concrete point, but in general, I would say that as you will need to check the main topic or select the main topic of the proposal and introduce some percentages in the platform, it's probably good to check or to ensure that if you're participating in a proposal that is completely focused on a topic that is not supported by your funder, that potentially could be problematic. So, but of course, check the details with your national funder. Then there is a question regarding the search for the partner. So they're a small entity and would be interested to team up with others in a larger proposal. Is there a dedicated area to network and form international teams? So we mentioned this before. There is a partnering tool. If you want to,
the link is it's in the page dedicated to this call and in the Water4All partnership website, so it's easily accessible.
Thank you. Then we have a question regarding self-funded. Regarding the partners coming from the countries that are not participating in the call, and there is an example. Instead of a self-funded, can participants from, for example, US be listed as subcontractor to a recipient, to a beneficiary?
Okay, a partner from coming from a country not financing the call may participate or as self-funded partner, as we said before, or as subcontractor, but they need to check always the national regulation to see if the funding organization can accept as subcontractor a, for example, US entity.
Yes, thank you very much, Yasmin. Then perhaps a question again for Miguel. At many instances in the call text, the water and health the term water and health is used. How to read health? Is it one, a human health, or two, environmental or global health?
Yes, I know this is a tricky question. I also saw this comment. I wanted to intervene on that. Well, in the objectives of the call, you have there that the objective is to have proposals exploring the link between water and human health. That's maybe the main focus. But as I recognized, and the group of experts that helped us recognize, we cannot work in silos and only think about human health. So the call is also open for those links where environmental health and this concept, this approach of One Health is. So it is also considered this concept of One Health, which is a wider view on this.
Thank you, Miguel. And I have another question for you. In fact, or you will say if you want, if we can comment on this. It says there is an important topic related to the water security desalination. However, it is not covered in the topics. Is it possible to cover it in the topic 3.1? So regarding desalination, do you have any comments on this? Can we comment on this?
Well, I cannot see now the question for more details, but I don't think we have something specific about desalination in the core topics. So as I mentioned before, take into consideration that the information reflected in the call announcement is the same as the evaluators will use. So if you see that your proposal is quite marginal or not well reflected in the call announcement, the evaluators may also think that it is not within the scope of the call. I would like also to comment on, there is a comment on the TRL. Well, yeah. We don't have indications of the TRLs that are supported, but take into consideration the type of projects that you can develop with the budgets that we can expect for this call. I would say this is not a demonstration call, so the size of the demonstration may be limited, taking into account the national budgets. In the comments, we have someone indicating that it should be enough go to TRL 6 or 7. Well, I'm not sure if the budget that we have can support this. Maybe for some technologies this is possible, maybe for others is not. What is important is that you go for the demonstration of a technology, you need to show clearly where this technology was in previous proposals or in the common domain, the common knowledge, and where you can take it with this proposal. But maybe this is not a call for large demonstration facilities.
Thank you, Miguel. Then a question regarding the submission platform. So for the pre-proposals, do all partners have to be registered on the proposal system, or is it enough to list them by name?
The coordinator is asked to implement the proposal on the APSS, and he will invite the partners to join and to see and to edit the proposal on the system.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Then there were several questions regarding the potential partners from countries that are not participating in the call. So Croatia was mentioned, Serbia was mentioned. There are several, I think, other cases. US was mentioned.
Yes, Morocco. I saw a lot of Morocco.
Yeah. So to answer to all these, let's say, interested applicants, but they're coming from the countries that are not participating in the call. So just to say again that they can participate.
As already said by Yasmin, they can either participate as self-funded entity or as a subcontractor, providing that this is something eligible they want to ask to.
Then someone's asking regarding what is meant by modality. Can you give a definition in this context, please? So what is the modality in our call? We have the regular joint transnational call modality and the early career researcher modality. So could you just quickly highlight again what is a modality or the difference between these two?
Who will speak? Okay, I will. Okay, you can apply for two modalities. In this call, we have the regular modality and the ECR modality. The difference is the PI, so the scientific coordinator, because only for the ERC modality, we have a condition. The condition is that the PI of the entity acting as a consortium coordinator must have obtained their PhD less than 10 years before the call publication. So after the 12th September 2015. This is the only difference between the two modalities.
Yeah. So just to add what I mentioned before in the presentation, so when you submit the proposal, apart from choosing this modality, everything else is basically the same, and your proposal is evaluated under the same evaluation criteria. It has the same content, it has the same thematic framework. Apart from the criterion that Yasmin mentioned, everything else applies the same. And the difference basically is that if we have the same ranking list and we have two equal proposals, so that are considered of equal quality, if the funds are available, we will try to push the early career researcher to give visibility to younger principal investigators. But so this is the difference between these two. That's why we call them modalities. But in their form, they are exactly the same, apart from this criterion for the coordinator. So I think this was now explained quite with detail now. So there is a question regarding the UN organizations located in funding countries. Are they eligible for participating and funding?
Oh, sorry. Okay. In general, yes, but they have to refer to the national contact point of the country where they are established to know if they are eligible or not.
Yes, thank you, Yasmin. And then there is a question regarding the Knowledge Hub. So there hasn't been many questions regarding this. It says, even if we are self-financed, do we need to include a Knowledge Hub?
Just one partner per consortium will be asked to participate in the Knowledge Hub. So 2 person months should be devoted to it, but just to one partner.
Yeah, and the Knowledge Hub is a platform that is supported by the Water4All. So you in your proposal, you nominate a person, an ambassador, let's say, or a representative, who will be included if this project gets funded, who will be included in the Knowledge Hub. So it can be from any partner in the consortium. So it's not that each partner in the consortium, they have to identify their representative. So again, perhaps to clarify this regarding the early career researchers, only the coordinator needs to be eligible to participate, and their FPO need to adhere to also fund the ECR modality. But the rest of the consortium partners do not necessarily need to be ECR and can participate whether or not their FPO funds the ECR modality.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Organization of the coordinator needs to fund the ECR, the ERC, sorry. The career researcher ECR, sorry.
Yes. Okay, so and there's another question related again to the ECR. It says, so the only advantage is in the case of equal ranking. Could you elaborate on the likelihood of achieving an equal ranking based on previous calls? This seems to be highly unlikely. So maybe I can comment on this one since you were not in the previous call, or perhaps, I don't know if Claire, who also knows the situation, can elaborate on this. So it is actually not highly unlikely. We had a very good representation of early career researchers in our calls. Claire, I don't know if you want to say more?
I don't have the exact numbers right in mind,
no,
but
I don't have the exact numbers either, but it was a good representation, taking into account that these are very competitive calls. And I remember from the past calls that when we introduced this, it was not a part of the first call of the Water4All, but we encourage. And
in 2023 call, I think they were quite good, and a good number were invited in step 2.
Yeah, so it received good visibility, let's say. Yeah. Okay. Would you recommend including industry partners in the proposal? In particular, it is possible to acknowledge the support of industry partners accompanied by a letter of support if necessary, without identifying them as an official partner.
May I?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say that it can be advisable where needed. If in your proposal for developing a solution, or maybe being credible in the possibility of transferring that solution, you need a company. Of course, you can include a company. You need to check at a national level if there is a funding agency that can fund companies, so that the company can be formally involved in the project. But if not, of course, you can involve companies as stakeholders, but the involvement of the companies needs to be credible. Not just a letter of support, but maybe a collaboration of the company in the definition of the work program, so that they are involved from the beginning, and you can build the impact and make credible that the outcomes will be delivered to the beneficiaries.
I would just add that because it mentions a letter of support is not necessary as per call requirement. So it's what Miguel says, but there is no, let's say, requirement to add a letter of support, and it's not evaluated, let's say, as such. You know, if you don't get an extra point for having a letter of support. But apart from that, it's highly advisable if it has the added value to the proposal. Then there is a question: does the consortium coordinator have to be employed by the lead institution submitting the proposal at the time of the proposal submission?
I guess
not
this...
okay, bye, Sarah, go.
This is something that has to do with the funding organization themselves. So each funding organization adds its eligibility rules. So we do recommend to refer to the national contact points of the funding organizations. Don't know if Yasmin, you want to add something on this?
No, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
And I will also ask you regarding the participation for the Italian organizations. Normally I would not want to enter too much into the details of the requirements on a national level, but since this question has popped up several times, and it has to do with the participation of the regions, perhaps you could comment on the Italian case. So for Italian organizations, only the ones with legal entity in the regions, and that there is a the list of the regions, Basilicata, Calabria, Campania, Molise, Puglia, Sardinia, Sicilia, can apply. So maybe you could comment on the Italian case regarding the participation of the regions.
Yes, it's true. It's this is the case. So just institutions and organizations having like they are based in those 7 regions and have operative laboratories in those regions can apply. Or they can, of course, try to join a consortium as subcontractor. But of course, this then has to comply with the funding organization rules that they are going to ask to.
Okay.
To me, I would like to add something to clarify better this point. First of all, for this call, we are using structural funds, and these funds are targeted to the underdeveloped regions. That's the reason why we can fund only partners based. Then I will explain what I mean with the word based in these 7 regions. Based does not mean that they have the legal seat, the legal premises in those regions. One company can be legally registered wherever in Italy, but it needs to have an operative basis in those regions and work there and do the research there. It is possible also that they open this operative this branch there after the selection of the project. So when they submit a proposal, they don't have anything in those regions. But if the project is selected, they open a branch, let's say in Sardinia, for example, and then do the activity there. But they have to commit to remain open, to keep this branch open for at least 5 years after the project. These are the complete list of criteria for the participation of Italian entities. So registered everywhere, based in the 7 regions for at least 5 years after.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm moving on. There's still a lot of questions, but I think many of them have been answered by Claire. I'm trying to find the questions that we haven't touched yet, so because we don't have that much time left. Okay. We have a question regarding the. Yeah, sorry, Aldo, did you want to?
No, go on.
Regarding the procedures, so they're asking more or less how many proposals will be invited for full application. So let's say between step 1 and step 2, if we have some sort of assessment.
All the eligible ones from the administrative point of view, from, let's say, the secretariat has said will check the general eligibility criteria, and then each single funding organization will check on its criteria, and then there will be the scientific evaluations. So all the proposals that are going to be that have declared eligible from the administrative point of view, then will be scientifically evaluated by the panel, and so we don't have a cap actually. So there is no limit in numbers for the second step.
Yes, we don't have any fixed number of proposals. You can go to the second step. They have to be positively evaluated, eligible, and so on. But so all the proposals which are below the threshold from the scientific point of view, you have an evaluation, a score, and all proposals below the essential threshold are considered not to go on, so they will be excluded. But also the proposals which are above the threshold, we are not sure that we can invite all of them. Depends how many they are, in respect to the available budget. Normally, but this is not a strict criterion, we can invite a number of proposals which is 3 times higher than the available budget. But there can be 10 this is just an approximate number because you can imagine that there is not one single budget. There are 33 different budgets. So for one country can be 4, for another one it will be 2, for another one will be 2.5, and so on. So it's difficult to predict exactly how many will be invited to the second step. More or less, the number which is triple with respect to the available budget.
Thank you. Then there's a question regarding the co-PIs. Can we have co-PIs, and will the co-PIs be part of 2 or more proposals?
No, the co-PIs are not foreseen in this call.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Then I think I saw a question. I don't know if I can find it now. Regarding the self-funded partners, so if they need to be identified already in step 1, and if they're not identified in step 1 and just added in step 2, if that would be considered a change.
Yeah, I guess that it's, if they know already that they will be in the proposal, it's better to mention them as soon as they can, so in the first step. But most probably the self-funded entity will be accepted as a minor change for the full proposal. So acceptable stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we have a.
Sorry.
Yeah.
May I add something? But please remember that only one self-funded partner is possible.
Yeah. Then there are some questions regarding the if we could share any useful information relevant for companies, their role in the project, or restrictions.
As already said, and also answered by Miguel, if it's relevant for the project, there are no restrictions. The restrictions are applied at national level, but not at call, let's say, general call level. So companies are more than welcome, but then they have to comply with the national regulations of the funding agencies.
Okay, thank you very much. Then there's again a question regarding the coordinator. Who is the coordinator? The person, because the coordinator cannot participate in another proposal. So are we referring to the person, department, or institute?
Can I answer here? Okay. Again, we are aware that there is a possible misunderstanding on this, because the word coordinator is used for 2 different cases. Coordinator can mean a person, a scientist, a researcher, which coordinates the budget, but coordinator sometimes can mean also the organization where the person works. So this can create a confusion. For this reason, we normally mention in our call text PI of the coordinator, of the entity acting as coordinator. So PI is, without any doubt, the principal investigator is a person. It's not an entity. So the person acting as a coordinator can participate in only one proposal, while the entity for which the coordinator works can participate in as many proposals as he wants, providing that they use different persons for the role of coordination if it is the case. So please distinguish between the person, which is the principal investigator, which has a limitation, and the entity, which has no limitation.
Yeah, although I would just add that our call text actually, I think it explains this. It says the coordinator, and in parentheses it says the coordinator, the person. It refers to the PI, so you cannot have the what the call text mentions is in the context of this limitation is the person. So it's already explained in I think
it's what I said. Generally speaking, these two words are used interchangeably, but in our call text not. We explain clearly which the sense, the meaning we use for these two words. For this word.
Okay, so I think we can answer perhaps 2 more questions, and then the rest we will compile, and we will try to include everything in the frequently asked document. Or you can, especially for the specific questions regarding the national cases, please contact the funding partner organizations, and we will comment these cases on a, let's say, bilateral basis. So there is a question, will there be any preference given to PIs or researchers from the Global South?
No, this won't be the case.
No. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm trying to perhaps find, because the questions are actually now they're becoming quite similar. I'm checking if there is anything that we haven't touched at all.
I remember a question about the number of partners. If the number of partners in a project that can influence, no, there are no influence. From 3 to up to 7, okay, no preference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any other questions at the moment.
Yeah, I'm also checking. I think it's trying to exclude the questions that are particular to the countries.
Yeah, since we are almost at the end, it means we should close. I would like to make a final remark or a synthesis of this event, which I hope has been useful for all of you, all the people who are listening to us. So as a final remark, I continue what I was saying at the very beginning, and what has been highlighted also by most of the questions we have provided, the answers, sorry, most of the answers we have provided you. This call is not an Horizon Europe call, first issue. This is a transnational call funded by many national and regional funding organizations, 33 for organizations. Each one has its own funding rules. So please take into account this consideration when preparing your proposal. One thing which I want to recommend you, normally in the Horizon Europe case, the coordinator is the one who does everything. The coordinator means the principal investigator of the coordinator, who does everything, prepares all the proposal and submit it to the commission and so on. Here, this is not the case. It's better than the coordinator ask each partner to get in touch with the funding organization from his country and ask for clarifications, instructions, information in order to prepare the proposal. Every time is too much, but 90% of the time when the coordinator does everything by himself, he makes mistakes, and the proposal very often is ineligible. Because the national rules are written in the national language, and you cannot know the language of 33 different countries. So please, I am referring to everyone who wants to coordinate a proposal, don't try to do everything by yourself, because in most cases you will make mistakes. So please, each partner has to check his own eligibility and his own funding rules, if a cost is eligible in this country or is not eligible. There are many things, many details which are defined only at the national level. So each one has to verify its own situation and not the coordinator only. This is something which I warmly recommend you all to respect, so if you want to avoid mistakes. I think with this I synthesize everything. So take care of the overall eligibility criteria for the the proposal creation and the national eligibility criteria for each partner. That's all, I think, from my side. And if you respect all this, you can be sure that your proposal is correct. One more thing, another recommendation, please read carefully the call text. Everything which is important, relevant for the call is written in the call text. If something is not written there, is not relevant, is not applicable. So please invent new rules which are not there. There are no other documents or hidden documents somewhere which describe other things which you don't see in the whole text. So everything is written there. You prepare the proposal in accordance with the call text. The evaluators evaluate the proposal in accordance with the call text. So don't look for other criteria which are not existing, please. I think that's all the recommendation I can give you from my side, according to my experience with all the mistakes I've seen in the past, and from my side is all. If my colleagues want to add something, please. Otherwise, we can close the event.
I just would like to add that we are really looking forward to receiving your applications, and yes, as Aldo said, we really hope that this info webinar was useful. And last but not least, we would like to deeply thank the coordinator who has organized this meeting, this info webinar, and all the colleagues that have supported and have in this event. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Sara, for reminding me. This is a very important point. So, okay, so I think we can close the meeting with only 3 minutes delay. Again, thank you very much to you, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.